Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I am Fidya Kasih Maulidya, a student of Accounting Department's Faculty of Ekonomi Andalas University. In this very good moment, I would like to show and present to you my thesis presentations. But first, I would like to say thank you very much for all of my lecturers, my thesis advisors, Mrs. Rayna Kartika, my thesis reviewers, accounting staff, all of my beloved friends, and also all of you, my audience. I hope all of you always in the best conditions with healthy and a very happy life. Okay, now I will start this thesis presentations. My research is about factors that influence Muslim customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. And in these opportunities, I focus to do my research in West Sumatra province with some selected cities that allegedly can represent this research.
And in these presentations, I will explain to you my research study which consists of 5 chapters. The first chapter is introductions, and the second chapter is literature review, and the third one is research methods, and the fourth is results and discussions, and the last chapter is conclusions of this research. We move into the first chapter, introduction. In introductions, I will explain the background why I chose this research as my thesis, and the problem definitions that I found, and the research objective, also the research benefits. Okay. The rapid growth of Islamic financial institutions in Indonesia is inseparable from the role of the Indonesian people themselves, with the compositions of the populations, which is predominantly Muslim. The development of Islamic financial institutions has more promising prospects. However, there are still many Muslim communities in Indonesia that have not yet decided to become customers of Islamic banks and prefer to remain customers of conventional banks.
Okay, let's go deeper. We have to know that only 10.5% of total accounts in Indonesia for Islamic banking accounts, which is only 31.89 million of total accounts in Indonesia for Islamic banking accounts, with the total accounts in Indonesia is 301.69 million. So we can say that there are 89.5% of total accounts in Indonesia is for conventional bank, and the rest is 10.5% of total accounts in Indonesia is for Islamic banking accounts. Only 10.5%. And also we have to know that in Indonesia, with the population's data per 2019, there are 266.9 million, and thus 87.2% of these populations is Muslim majority of total populations. So Indonesia with the Muslim majority of total populations, and followed by Christian 10.2% and so on. And also we have to know that Indonesia is the country with the largest populations of Muslims in the world. Indonesia owns 13% of the world's Muslim. So from this background, this can be one of the reasons why I choose this research. To examine what factors can affect the interest of the Indonesian people with a Muslim majority population as many as 87.2% of the total populations of 266.9 million Indonesian citizens to choose become customers of Islamic bank with Islamic products offered. In this case, I do a case study in Muslim communities in West Sumatra province with the research title Factors that Influence Muslim Customers in Choosing Products of Islamic Bank. So, this research is what is the actually things that should we concern about to improve the selections of products offered by Islamic Bank. Is it knowledge about products? Or is it a dissemination of product informations, or maybe customers' interest to the how is the profit margin of the products, or it's all about the service quality that can give impressions to the customers, so the customers will feel comfortable to use products offered by Islamic Bank. So we will know it from this research.
So from the background of the research I explained before, I found a problem definitions of this research. I choose 4 things to talk. The first is about the product knowledge. Does the product knowledge influence Muslim customers in choosing products offered by Islamic bank? And the second one is the product information disseminations. Does it influence Muslim customers in choosing products offered by Islamic bank? And the third is about the profit margin. Does it influence Muslim customers in choosing products offered by Islamic bank? And the last is about the service quality. Does the service quality influence Muslim customers in choosing products of Islamic bank? And in this research aims to obtain empirical evidence about the influence of product knowledge on the selections of Muslim customers in choosing products of Islamic bank, the influence of product information disseminations on the selection of Muslim customers in choosing products of Islamic bank, the influence of profit margin on the selections of Muslim customers in choosing products of Islamic bank, and also the influence of service quality on the selections of Muslim customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. And this research is expected to provide benefits in the form of researcher, academics, and practitioners. Okay, next we move into chapter 2, literature review. In this chapter, I will explain to you the theoretical basis of this research, how is the conceptual framework of this research, and also what is the hypothesis. The first, the grand theory is about the consumer's behavior theory. The consumer's behavior theory is the study of how individuals, groups, and organizations choose, buy, use, and use goods, services, ideas, or experience to satisfy their needs and desires. And the second theory is about Islamic bank. We have to know what is the Islamic bank actually. So Islamic banks are the banks that carry out their business activities based on Sharia principles. Islamic banking business activities include all conventional banking activities except loans with interest. And the third theory we have to concern is about a profit sharing. Revenue of profit sharing is a system of processing funds in the Islamic economy, namely the distributions of business results between the capital owner or Shahibul Mal and the manager or Mudarib. And the fourth theory in this research is about customers. The customers is the very important aspect in the continuity of banking, like a pools of banking activities to the developments of banking itself. The customers are parties who use the services of Islamic bank. Therefore, the bank must be able to attract as many customers as possible so that the funds collected from these customers can be paid back by the bank, which will later will be distributed to the people who need funds or services. And the last theory in this research is about products of Islamic bank. The product offered by Islamic banking can be grouped into 3 parts, namely the fundraising products, fund distributions or financing products, and financial services products.
But in this research, researchers will only explain about 4 products offered by Islamic bank as a representative of each categories to define the influence of product knowledge, product information disseminations, profit margins, service quality to the decisions of Muslim customers in choosing these 4 products. And the products is mudarabah saving, mudarabah financing, murabahah financing with principals buying and selling, and also card loans financial services. And here is the conceptual framework in this research. There are 4 independent variables to 1 dependent variables. So here is the hypothesis of this research. The hypothesis about the independent variables on dependent variables. There are 4 hypotheses. The first hypothesis is about the product knowledge on products of Islamic bank. The hypothesis or H1 is product knowledge influence product selections of Islamic bank. And the second hypothesis is product information disseminations on products of Islamic bank. So H2 is product information disseminations influence product selections of Islamic bank. And the third hypothesis is profit margin on products of Islamic bank. So the hypothesis is profit margin influence product selections of Islamic bank. And the last hypothesis is the third hypothesis is service quality on products of Islamic bank. It's about the service quality influence product selections of Islamic bank.
And next we move into chapter 3, research methods. Okay, This type of research used in this study is field research with quantitative methods, that is, data obtained in the form of figures that can be calculated relating to the problem under study. The type of data used in this study is the type of primary data. And about the data collection method, the data collection techniques in this research was survey techniques using questionnaires. And the research populations, the populations in this study is a Muslim community in several selected cities that can be reached by writers in the province of West Sumatra. And about the research samples, researchers use a non-probability sampling technique, that is sampling technique without the same opportunity for each member of the populations to be selected as a sample. The sample selections in this technique is using quota sampling. The quota percentage of this quota sampling are 50%, 20%, 10%, and 20% respectively for Padang City, Bukit Tinggi City, Solok City, and Payakumbuh City. And the total sample based on here et al. Stated that n as n items times with 5. The questions items in my questionnaires are 31 items, so the total sample is 31 times 5 equals to 155 respondents. For research variables, I have two kinds of variables. The first variables is dependent variables, and the second one is independent variables. There are for independent variables, product knowledge as independent variable or of x1, product information dissemination as independent variable of x2, the profit margin as independent variable of x3, and service quality as independent variable of x4. Okay, next for data analysis and methods. The data analysis technique used in this study is multiple linear regressions analysis. This study aims to identify factors related to products of Islamic bank, namely product knowledge, product information disseminations, profit margin, and service quality in Islamic bank. And to facilitate data management, I use SPSS tool versions 24. And in my research, I do the data analysis techniques with multiple linear regression analysis and some supporting tests. The test is about the descriptive statistical test, the data quality test to test the validity and reliability tests of the research, and classic assumptions test to test the normality, linearity, heteroscedasticity, and multi-coloniality test, and also the last is a hypothesis test. Okay, next we move into chapter 4 about results and discussions.
Okay, the first is about respondent analysis. First, we have to know I found the details of the number of respondents. In this research, I got 155 respondents who meet the criteria, it means that 100% of my respondents meet the criteria. The respondents who meet the criteria were respondents with Islamic religion, customers of Islamic bank, and domicile in West Sumatra, which is represented by Padang City, Bukit Tinggi City, Solok City, and Payakumbuh City. And the criteria of respondents who were sampled in this research were divided according to the religions, gender, age, and domicile. Okay, for the respondents based on religions, I got 100% of total respondents is with Islamic religions. And the respondents based on gender, I got 49% for male and 51% for female, with total respondents is 155. And respondents based on age, I got 3.2% respondents with the age less than 21 years old, and 78.7% in this range, and also so on. But I got no respondents for more than 60 years old. Also with my total respondents of 155. And the respondents based on domiciles, I got the majority is from Padang City, 50.3% of the respondents, and 20% for Bukit Tinggi, 30% for Payakumbuh, and 9.7% for Solok City. So it's meet my target. And the respondent status as a customers, I got that 45 of my 155 respondents are customers of Islamic bank. They are the Islamic bank only customers. It means they don't use the conventional bank. And 21 is a conventional bank only customers, and 89 with a majority of 57% of my respondents is an Islamic and conventional bank customers. They use both of the bank facilities. And also still in respondent analysis, I put some questions, some instant questions in my questionnaire, so I got the respondents' instant claim about what they do in respondent analysis. So the respondents who have no idea in choosing products of Islamic bank, or respondents who have no idea in what they do in Islamic bank, is 95 minus 21 respondents, which are 74 respondents, and it means that only 44% of the respondents respondents of Islamic bank who claim that they use products of Islamic bank, and the rest is 56% claim that they are the customers of Islamic bank, but they have no idea in what products they have been using. It's over a half of our respondents that they don't know what they do. And next, after respondent analysis, I will explain to you about the research test results. The first test result is about the descriptive statistical test. I got the results of descriptive statistical test. For each variables, there are 1 dependent variables and 4 independent variables. With the minimal answer is minimal point of products of Islamic bank is 8, because in my questionnaire I have 8 questions, and for product knowledge is 4, because I have 4 questions in product knowledge. With the Likert scale, the lowest scale is 1 until 5, strongly disagree and strongly agree 5, and product information dissemination, and so on. This is the max shows that the maximum answer of the respondents. It means that when I have 5 scale of the Likert, so the maximum answer is 40, because 8.5 is 40, and the mean of answer is in products of Islamic bank for Y variables is 24, for X1 10.63, and X2 15.97, and so on. And median and the modes with the standard deviations. Next is about the data quality test for validity test. For validity test, the item can be said to be valid if R counts more than R table. Okay, this is the test results of the validity test for products of Islamic bank variables. So it's for Y. I have 8 questions, and all of the questions are valid, and also for X1, all of the question is valid because the R counts more than the R tables. And also for the X2, all of the question valid. For the X3, all of the question valid. And also for the last independent variable is X4, service quality, all of the question is valid. Okay, and next, data quality test for reliability test. The item can be said to be reliable if the variable has a Cronbach alpha value greater than 0.60. So from the 31 questions, all of questions is valid. I got the Cronbach alpha is 0.949, with the end of item is 31. The result here is the result of the reliability test. So from the table above, it can be seen that the question items have positive Cronbach alpha values, and Cronbach alpha equals to 0.949, that greater than 0.6, means that all questions items prove to be reliable. And next is classic assumption test. First, to test the normality test. So here is the normal p-plot of the regression standardized residual. In the normal plot graph, there are points that spread around a diagonal line, while the spread follows the diagonal directions. So it can be concluded that the regression model meets the assumptions of normality. And here is the assumptions. And the next classic assumption test is to test the linearity test. It means that these 4 variables have a significance value that greater than 0.05, so that indicates those variables have a linear relationship. So the next classic assumption test is to test the heteroscedasticity test. In the regression model, heteroscedasticity should not be met if the value of t counts is small than the t tables, and the significance value is greater than 0.05, so then there is no heteroscedasticity. And first we have to see into the scatter plots. From the scatter plot graph, it can be seen that the points is spread randomly and are scattered above or below the number 0, so that the regression model is feasible to use. And from the table, so the 4 variables, no heteroscedasticity, it means that good. Okay, the next classic assumption test is about the multi-coloniality test. A good regression model has no multi-coloniality. So we can see that from the result above, it can be seen that the VIF value is less than 10, and tolerance value is more than 0.01 tolerance value and VIF value, which means that there is no multi-coloniality for this 4 variables. And the last test result is hypothesis test. You can see from the table, the multiple linear regression analysis is a linear relationship between 2 or more independent variables with the dependent variable. This analysis is used to determine whether each independent variable is positively or negatively related. And from the the data above, we can also conclude that the product knowledge variables, or X1s, has a significant effects on the products of Islamic bank variables, or Y, because from the data it shows that the significant value equals to 0.000, that is less than 0.05. So X2 significant to Y. X3 has a significant effects into Y. And the last is about service quality variable, or X4. It can be seen that the significant value is 0.057, but this value is greater than 0.05, which means that the service quality has a not significant relationship, which means that the service quality or variable X4 has no effects to the products of Islamic bank variable. So the H1 or hypothesis 1 is accept. The results of this study support the hypothesis 1, which state that product knowledge influence customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. And the H2 or hypothesis 2 is accept also. The results of this study support the hypothesis 2, which said that product information disseminations influence customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. And the H3 or hypothesis 3 is accept too. The result of this study support the hypothesis 3, which said that profit margin influence customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. And H4 is reject or not accept. The result of the study not support the hypothesis 4, which said that service quality influence customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. So the service quality not influence customers in choosing products of Islamic bank. Coming to the last chapter is about the conclusions. So the conclusions, the hypothesis 1 in this research is accepted. It means that the more customer has a knowledge about product, so the more products of Islamic bank will be chosen. From the results of the study, found that 93 respondents claim not to understand the products of Islamic bank, but they remain customers of Islamic banks only to save without recognizing what types of savings products contains in Islamic bank. And 46 respondents claim that they have or were using Mudarabah product. One respondent claims to have used Murabaha products, and there were no respondents who claimed to have or were using card products. And the results of the study about customers' knowledge about products of Islamic bank is in a low rank. And the hypothesis 2 in this research is accepted. It means that the better dissemination of product information will make a higher frequency of selections of products of Islamic bank. And the hypothesis 3 in this research is accepted also. It means that the profit margin of the products influence the customer decisions in choosing products. And the hypothesis 4 in this research is not accepted. It means that the H0 in this variable is accepted. The service quality doesn't influence the customer decisions in choosing products. So here is my limitations. There are some limitations that occur in this study. And my suggestions. First, in filling out the questionnaires, it is better if the respondents can be monitored directly with. And my second suggestion is, for the next researchers can examine other factors that influence product selections in Islamic bank and add moderating variables that can strengthen or weaken the influence of independent variables on the dependent variables.
Okay, thank you. That's all my presentations of my thesis. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your attention. Okay, sorry for my mistakes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.